My respect for indigenous knowledge began as a child growing up on a farm in the desert of southern New Mexico. While most farmers were relying on acequias or irrigation wells to water their fields, my father was the only farmer who was practicing floodwater irrigation. Floodwater irrigation is based on capturing the runoff when summer rain comes quickly. Thus, our farm's success was based on the interchange of land and sky. I can remember the joy of watching the monsoon thunderheads growing over the Sacramento Mountains, knowing our fields would soon get the water they needed. Honoring and respecting indigenous knowledge is the heartbeat of Indigenous Liberal Studies at IAIA. When we began developing the Indigenous Liberal Studies department here at IAIA, we took the traditional Western concept of liberal arts, that is, studies in humanities and the soft and hard sciences, and we based that course of study in indigenous content. This has evolved over the last few years to a focus on indigenous knowledge for scholarship and leadership. When I was about 11 years old, my father had an irrigation well drilled. This was an end of an era for our farm. While the irrigation well provided a sense of security in that we were no longer solely dependent upon the natural forces for water, there was a price to be paid. We had shifted our dependence from nature to the dollar, and that shift made subtle changes in our lives and changed our relationship to the farm. With the well, my father was able to cultivate more land, but more land had to be cultivated in order to pay the increased expenses of running the irrigation well. It seemed that we worked harder, yet the margin between loss and profit did not change, and with such a small farm, we lost money. My father had to sell off some of the acreage to pay the expenses of farming, and as people moved in, they cut roads that changed the laterals so that today no one can irrigate by floodwater. The changes that were brought to our farm by drilling the water well impressed upon me that there is a great deal of value in those indigenous methods. Indigenous knowledge exists around the world and takes many forms. My experience has shown me that indigenous knowledge must be honored, used, and maintained. If we are not vigilant or act without thinking, we can lose knowledge that is based in our relationship to the land. Through ILS, we have developed a program of study to ensure continued respect and appreciation of indigenous knowledge.